Everyone, Spike here. I really wanted to make a video on this. I recently watched an episode of Conspiracy Theory, which is hosted by Jesse Ventura. Now, this is the first time I've watched the show. I wanted to see what they covered. This episode, they covered 9/11. I've heard a lot of 9/11 conspiracies, and I do believe they're all bullcrap. After I watched the whole episode, I was very skeptical with what they brought up. So I did my own research, and my result, I am very disappointed with the episode. Here's what I found. In the episode, they mentioned there was they had found explosive residue. Well, there were phone calls that were made from some of the flights. From what on my research, it said a flight attendant on flight 11, a passenger on flight 175, and passengers on flight 93 mentioned that the hijackers had bombs. Now, the reports said they could have been fake, but even if they were, how can that tell you that there were explosives on below the World Trade Center? So if those bombs are real, obviously the explosive residue could have been from the bombs if they were real. You also showed a super thermite experiment. Now, that experiment, I say, is flawed because you didn't take into account the jet fuel as well as the weight those girders are holding, because you still got like thousands of pounds of metal above the on the girders, and so yeah, I do not believe the New Mexico Tech professor told you anything. Besides, they were not the only ones that did their research. The hypothesis that there was a controlled demolition was rejected by the National Institute of Standards and Technology and by the American Society of Civil Engineers, who, after their research, both concluded that the impacts of jets at high speeds in combination with subsequent fires caused the collapse of both towers. Now, you said during your conversation with the FBI, you said the fire alone did it. A freaking plane ran into the building. It's not just the fire. Another report also concluded that the fireproofing from the Twin Towers steel infrastructures was blown off by the initial impact of the planes, and that if it had not occurred, the towers would likely have remained standing. Now, a study published by researchers of Purdue University confirmed that if the thermal insulation of the core columns would have been scoured off and column temperature had elevated to approximately 700 degrees Celsius, the fire would have been sufficient to initiate collapse. So yeah, the New Mexico Tech didn't take into account the thousands of pounds of jet fuel that was in the plane that could have spilled onto the girders, which could have easily weakened them. And then you got all that weight bearing down on it, and that can be enough to make the whole building collapse. You had your little investigation of Hangar 17. So you found girders there. So what? That doesn't tell us anything. Let me give you an analogy. So, like, say for example, I have a lawnmower, and then it goes missing. I guess especially to my neighbor, I look into his garage, or maybe he could be out riding it. I could be going, he's stealing my lawnmower. But maybe someone who lives in my house might probably like someone who I'm living with may have let him borrow the lawnmower. So I can't just go off accusing someone of something that they have. All right. But most of all, you were relying on eyewitness accounts. I am a psychology student, and I have learned much about eyewitness accounts, and you should know that they are flawed. My professor had done an experiment on myself and my fellow classmates, and she had set up a situation where someone comes in, robs her purse, and we had to recall what he looked like. Now, after the experiment, we had concluded that even after that, our eyewitness accounts are not all that accurate. So it cannot be accurate all the time. So please, do not just rely on eyewitness testimony. There's a reason why the courts don't just go with eyewitness. You gotta have concrete evidence. And I do not see any concrete evidence. So, unless if you prove me otherwise, there's no way I'm going to believe all that. So I say your show is a conspiracy theory. That's all I have to say. Spike Pap logging out.